Hello, Christian. Nice to welcome you. Herzlich willkommen by Charles Heidsieck. Christian, you've asked me to say a few words on Charles Heidsieck within quite a few minutes. Rather a tough exercise, but I'll give my best shot. You're here at the headquarters and the cellars, the historical cellars of Charles Heidsieck, one of, if not the greatest, one of the greatest champagne houses in humanity, with a fantastic story based on its founder, a chap called Charles Heidsieck. Of course, as the name suggested, he came from, or his family came originally from Germany. A gentleman called Florence Ludwig Heidsieck, who came in France from Westphalia in 1785. This gentleman created a business which became, years after, known as Piper Heidsieck. His grandnephew, by the name of Charles, always was independent-minded and wanted to run his own business. As a consequence, in 1851, he started his own business called Champagne Charles Heidsieck. And at that time, most of champagnes of the other houses were sold in Europe to the kings and queens and emperors. Of course, as one knows, in France there was no more queens or emperors because we had killed them some years before. So Charles decided to venture some new business where nobody had been before, and he decided to go to the USA. Traveled back and forward to the USA about 4 times in 10 years, finished in jail in 1862 as he was arrested. People thought he was a spy for the French government, so he spent 6 months in jail. At the end, he was freed by President Abraham Lincoln himself, and then eventually came back to Champagne after having been extremely successful selling his champagne in the USA. For the following 20-30 years, Charles Camille Heidsieck and his first son managed to get Charles within the kings and queens of all around Europe, and the business continued from generation to generation in the family of the Heidsieck descendants. The company was taken over in 1985 by a company called Rémy Cointreau, and Rémy Cointreau kept Charles Heidsieck together with Piper Heidsieck for 26 years, and both houses were then taken over by a French company, French family, Monsieur Descours, a company called EPI, which owns small luxury businesses in France. And Mr. Descours is the unique shareholder of Charles Heidsieck today. He is totally focused on quality, a long-term vision in business, and we are step by step restoring the international reputation and network of Charles Heidsieck all around the world in the key countries. The potential for Charles Heidsieck is enormous because it's one of the very happy few champagne houses which has such a legend, the legend coming from the founder, Charles Camille Heidsieck. So we do not have to invent crazy marketing stories. The story is the history of Charles himself, the living legend called Champagne Charlie. For those of my generation, we might remember a film made in the late 1980s called Champagne Charlie with Hugh Grant, the very young actor at that time, starring as Charles Heidsieck. That's to tell you how famous Charles Heidsieck was once upon a time. Of course, champagne is a great wine. Great wine are made by great winemakers. And about 10 days ago, we were fortunate enough to have on board a very young, talented young winemaker called Cyril Brun, who has come from a competitor, but nonetheless friendly champagne house. And he is now with us as the new chef de cave or cellar master. Together, I'm completely convinced that we're going to do great stuff, rebuilding the reputation of Charles in all the key countries. And of course, to start with, Hoffentlich in Germany with our partners Egerzone, which are distributing Charles since March 2014. So long live to Charles Heidsieck in Germany, and long live to you, Christian.